Hi, everyone. I am so excited today because I have my good friend and my twin. You guys will find out why very soon. Debbie Lilly in the house. I'm so excited to have you on the show. We've been having this conversation for months,
Mhm.
and I'm excited that we can do this today. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you?
I'm so happy to see you. I miss you. It's been way too long, and I'm just really looking forward to chatting.
Yeah, for sure. So you have been like my inspiration way before I even launched my business. I was like, oh my God, Debbie Lilly. And I would see you on TV and magazines and I would see your beautiful work. And then when we connected, we found out that we have the same birthday.
Mhm.
So that just made me love you even more. I was like, okay, the universe is putting us together. And we've had many chats and we've thrown parties together. And you're just the most amazing human I've ever met, truly. Super sweet, so humble. Yeah, and the perfect hostess. So I've never shared this with you before, but the very first time I met you, I was so nervous. I was like, oh my God, I'm in her space. You threw a party in your loft. And you walked up to me and was like, can I take your coat? I'm like, what? You literally took my coat and then you're like, what do you want? Bubbles? Champagne? I was like, bubbles?
I miss these days. I miss taking
Yeah. And I was
out.
just like so amazed at how you just effortlessly flow through everything from work to your conversations and how you connect. Like you literally talk to people like they're in front of you. And I was just so impressed and like I just fell in love with you even more. And ever since then, you've not been able to get rid of me. So, and I can't remember, that must have been like what, seven? I don't remember, 7 years ago or something like that. So excited to share you with everyone in the show. And I'm excited we can talk about all things Debbie and all the amazing things you've been doing and you're still doing. Like, how do you even do it? How do
Um, I don't know. It doesn't really feel that amazing over here, but I love your story because, my Gigi, my grandmother, she is my favorite person in the world, and we lost her to COVID almost a year ago now. And she had that effect that you're talking about, where when you were with her, she filled up the whole room and made you feel like the only person in the room. And I always loved that she filled you with so much love when you were with her. And that's why it's so hard even today to be without her, because you
Yeah.
love that feeling. And that feeling that you just described makes me so happy. You've made my whole day sharing
Oh,
because it
sure.
feels
Yeah, and I'm so sorry. I remember when you shared that. I can't believe it's been a year now.
it's been
And yeah, and we have stories. Last year was not the best one in regards to family. You remember too on my end. Moving on, but COVID has just there's just losses everywhere, and it's just so
yeah,
hard for a lot of people, a lot of families. But you do that warmth you described, that fuzzy feeling that she gave you and everyone around them, you give me and to a lot of people around you. So thank you for being you. It's so amazing. It's refreshing too to meet you and know you and the fact that you're just you all the time.
thank
So
you. I
yes.
really that you've made my day. And I think that can all take away, especially during COVID, is just being kind
Yeah.
and stopping to help people. I've always talked to our whole staff whenever we're having an event. And I am happy to talk about this because I love hosting those events. So many people will say, why are you having another party? Like on your day off, why in the world are you throwing a party? But I love meeting people and I love sharing ideas. And look how we met. I mean, that's the most amazing story. And it's because we wanted to throw a party and meet new people and
Yeah.
share on our day off. And I think that all of us can do that in whatever way. Maybe you're being more active on social media and reaching out and meeting new people,
Yeah.
especially maybe you're at the grocery store and you stop and you help someone who can't reach something on a shelf. You know me, I love the grocery store.
Yeah.
But so important that we're all being really welcoming and helpful and kind. and doing all that we can to do that. I don't know that we in our busy lives like really think about remembering that, but
Yeah.
when you do, it makes such an impact on people and it makes you feel so good. It's like the best thing you could ever do to bring joy into your life is to be kind and help others
Yeah.
constantly as a way of life and a mindset.
Yeah, that's so important. And I think, like to your point, everyone has kind of lost sight of that. It's the little things, helping someone out, like you said, the grocery store, if you can. It's so simple and it doesn't cost anything to be kind or to
Mm.
be kind at all, first to ourselves and to other people. So I definitely learned a lot from you and just your grace and just the way you carry yourself. It's truly amazing. You're you, so you probably haven't thought about it, but I'm telling you, that it was when I first met you, I'm like, no, like it's that, it was just so I felt so comfortable and warm. And naturally, two planners and two designers and are usually in the ideal world, which is so awful and not supposed to be close and share and get together, but we do. And I've been able to cultivate more relationships like that just by being comfortable with you first and foremost. So, and it's something that just carries on. It's a true friendship, and I've been having a lot of conversations around relationship building and not, outside of the business, just cultivating good relationships. Even if it's just a friend that just sends you a text on the day when you're just not it's not a great day. It's the little things. So beyond the business is a perk, but the friendships and the relationships I cherish more than anything in the world. So this is like a very, very, very happy moment for me. So I'm excited that you're on the show.
Me too, me too.
All right. So for those of you guys that don't know, and if you don't, that means you don't have a television, you've never been on the internet, because Debbie Lilly. You've seen her products in the grocery stores. You've seen her in every station possible. She's done events for Oprah and all the celebrities, and she's right here. But I want to go back to a little bit about how it all started, and like what how did Debbie Lilly become Debbie?
Well, you're very sweet. And again, I really take it back to my grandmother and my mother, who always entertained. They, for any holiday, set the most beautiful tables, had big flower gardens in the backyard. And I grew up at their side like a little shadow, doing anything and everything I could with them. And I loved the tradition of setting the table and entertaining. My family loved to cook. My dad's practically a professional chef, even though he just does it for fun. And all I wanted to do was do that for other people, because when I was little, my neighbors and friends would come over and they'd just have these big, huge eyes like, I've never seen a table like this. It's so beautiful. I loved the feeling that it invoked for my friends when they came over, and realizing that that was special and different and not everybody did that. So it's kind of incredible to think that this like little tiny family tradition that I was so drawn to has become a business, and it employs people and provides health insurance. I just love that something so personal to me has become kind of my life's work. And my family, I have two kids, are right by my side helping me. I've sort of forced that on them because the memories I have with my grandmother are so special that I want them to have memories like that with, at that point, their great grandmother, my mom, their grandmother, me, their mom. And I don't know if they love working with me, but they're so good. Lily, my daughter, is designing bridal bouquets, and
Oh,
they're
goodness.
incredible. I
So
even have to
good.
tweak
Yeah.
them. I told her like that you can design a bouquet and I'm not even editing it is unbelievable. And the brides have loved them too. So
Wow.
they're just helping our team. And that's how it really started. I was in high school, throwing like a craft fair and a Christmas cooking party and all these things. And then in college, I was the sorority social chairman, I guess was the official title. A big secret that I'll share with you because you're my twin. I single-handedly, with my overpacked sorority social schedule, brought the entire house's GPA down because we had too many parties. and I had to retire. True
Oh
story.
my goodness.
True story. But that's just an example. I remember, I was thinking of this the other day. I remember like walking into the sorority house and being like, oh, this dining room needs flowers on the table, and styling like faux flower centerpieces on every dining room table in the sorority. I mean, like no one cared about this stuff, but it was so important to me when I was a teenager in college. It's hilarious.
Oh my goodness. Like this goes way back. I can't believe. Well, that shows that you were that good at throwing parties that you were too good at it. Yeah. Wow. That's an amazing story. And it's exciting to watch your children. I love watching Lily, by the way. I feel like she just grew out of nowhere. Like one minute she was like, it's cute, and now she's this whole woman. But I see so much in her. I see so much of you in her. And I just love how you guys will do things together. Like you are this amazing entrepreneur with so many businesses, but family is evident that family is important. You make time for family. Again, I don't know how you do it. You need to give me all the secrets, but you do both so well. And, every time I see your kids, they're happy, they're smiling, and it's just so beautiful to watch. And I just really wanted to bring you on to share your story and share a little bit of just all the things that you do that inspires me with all the listeners, because I think we could use a little bit of inspiration right now. So,
Yeah.
okay, so you have a Perfect Event is your planning and design company, and you have the cutest studio in Lincoln Park. I kind of crashed it a few times.
Love having you. Come back soon.
I've crashed it several times, and then you
Our
have.
studio is your studio.
Thank you. Oh, and you know what's funny? When I needed to use your studio, and that's what we talk about, relationships and just having friends in the industry was just so, like, I reached out, I'm like, I need your studio. Like, sure. What do you need? Of course. And it's always open arms. And I know that you're like this with everybody around you. It's just so amazing. Literally, like every time I'm around you, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna smile more. I'm gonna greet people more. So I'm still learning so much just watching you and being around you. But the studio is so beautiful. I've had multiple shoots in the studio, and then you have DL Loft. So talk to me about the spaces, and because I know you really mentioned community when I was reading your bio. Talk to me about the space. And by the way, DL Loft is the cutest loft in Chicago. Like you have to go check it out. Anyone in Chicago, or you're in Chicago, you need somebody to say, check it out. It is super chic, so cute. Like literally, it took me to France. But talk to me about your inspiration in Behind the Lofts.
So what's funny is when I had my first baby just a couple of years ago, they're teenagers already, I had my business in my house. The entire lower level of our house was my design studio. All the floral team had their own keys to walk right in the basement. I met with clients in the living room. Boom, you have a baby. And I had no trouble with it, but my husband was like, no, this is not happening anymore. This is too much. So we realized we needed another space and purposely found something just a few blocks from our house so it would be really easy. And what's funny is when I started telling clients that we were moving into a space, I was thinking this was like a huge upgrade and won't they be so excited? But no, people were not happy. They said, we love how personal it is meeting with you in your home. It feels like, very special and not commercial, very intimate. So all of a sudden we had to like flip our mindset and we had to build the studio to look exactly like the inside of my house with all the built-in bookcases. And so it's really funny how what you think sometimes as a vendor is a good, progressive growth improvement, your clients might not have that sentiment at all. So the loft and studio we built just to be really beautiful, very intimate, to feel like you're in a home. And I think they really do. And I love that they're totally styled with everything you need, from all your glassware, your huge silver French champagne tubs for chilling your rosé, every plate, every fork, everything. And to me, in Chicago, there's very few beautiful, styled, small event spaces. There's amazing event spaces, but when we launched these, the studio was like 17 years ago, the loft almost 10 years ago, there wasn't much small space for events. You were in like the private room of a restaurant, which sometimes is really beautiful, but oftentimes is kind of like a back room, no
Yeah.
windows. So I feel like it really helps people
Yeah.
and it provides people an easier solution. We've tried to keep it very cost effective. We, as you mentioned, are all about being good neighbors and offer a lot of partnerships, I guess I'll call them, donations, whatever we can to help our neighbors and our community. We do a lot for education and sort of donating the space for meetings or fundraisers or what have you.
That's amazing.
It makes you feel good. It makes me very
I love that you have, despite all the things that you're doing, you have a spirit of giving back and putting, also enhancing your community and giving back to the community. That's amazing. And I remember when I walked into the loft the first time, I'm like, so beautiful. You feel right at home. And I used to tell them, like, I can't wait. I'm literally coming to spend the weekend here. And we've had, and it's like you said, beautifully styled where you have everything. Like we don't have to bring in not one piece of glassware. I'm like, I don't know where she finds these amazing things. It's just so beautiful. And you thought of everything. And I enjoyed our black and we had how many years ago now? We had the black and white party at the loft. It was
I
so
loved
fun.
I love history and I love parties and I really love morphing history and parties together. So it's funny because I'm obsessed with Truman Capote and Breakfast at Tiffany's and Audrey Hepburn and the Plaza Hotel in New York City, la la la. And the black and white ball is literally like the most iconic party ever thrown by Truman Capote. And we recreated it. It was so fun.
I had the best time. All my friends had like amazing. I was just looking through the pictures here. They're like, man, when are we going to do this again? Like I miss the intimate parties. I miss the connection. I miss my friends. I miss getting dressed up. I miss like now I don't even know what goes first. What do you wear?
No,
So
true.
long. Yeah, we've
I,
been sweatpants for a year. What's
I
that?
have this for like a year.
Yeah, amazing. So you have a perfect event, you have the studio, you have DL Loft, but you have more things. So I really want to unpack everything, all things Debbie, so people can understand how amazing you are. So and then you have Debbie Lily Designs. Like I feel like when I miss you and I go to the grocery store and I see Debbie Lily, I see all your flowers. I'm like, that's my friend. It's kind of crazy and unbelievable because your products are like beautiful, like your vases and the flowers. So what was the inspiration behind Debbie Lily Designs?
So it's just a really lucky opportunity that came our way. It's interesting, about like 10, 11 years ago, my family jumped on a plane. We were going on a family vacation, and my kids and my husband were like, no phone, Debbie, you've got to disconnect. Our industry, our jobs are very consuming. It's like day, evenings, weekends. And so we landed in Paris. We were there for a summer vacation. And I remember looking at my phone like very sneakily because I wasn't supposed to be checking my email for a week or so. And there was this email from Safeway, Albertson, saying, we're looking to launch a designer collection in our stores. And I was like, trying to respond right away and ask if we could not talk about it until I got home because I was supposed to be not on email for a week. Anyway, it was just this wonderful new partnership idea that a big grocery chain had, that they wanted to bring really beautiful products right into their grocery aisles. And I am the biggest grocery store aficionado when I travel anywhere, like that trip to Paris I was mentioning. I head right to the groceries. I love grocery stores. I just love food and entertaining. And so it was literally the perfect idea for me. And it was interesting because they were looking at, Martha Stewart every single person with an HGTV or Food Network television show, and then me. And my kids were very, very little. I was kind of a new mom. And I thought, I have got to make this happen. But if you have all these people with huge national television shows and then little me, I have to figure out how to show them that I'm their girl. And I did a whole presentation of like 100 images of our parties and our work, and truly how I love to take grocery and make it gorgeous. You know, not for a big wedding, obviously, but if I'm having a little party for my girlfriends, I'm a grocery store girl and I'm making everything beautiful from the grocery store. And you know, when you're in a room and it's pitch black and there's like a whole board table full of people and you're not sure if anyone likes your ideas or not, when I got to that 100th photo, they said, can you start over and take us through it again? And I was like, that's a really good sign, I think.
Yeah.
Like, so I always am so grateful for this project because number one, I love the concept of gorgeous hydrangea, you know, gorgeous roses, gorgeous bouquets, very European designs, all in the grocery. You're getting your milk, you grab something beautiful for your home or as a gift for someone else. And the way it came about is just crazy, right? That's kind of a crazy story.
Wow, I didn't know that. But
I've probably never told anyone that.
I love, you know, that when you said that, I was like, oh my God, I hope everyone heard that, because sometimes we get into that, you know, place of like self-doubt or like imposter syndrome, and you're like, wait, me against Marcus. Like you mentioned all these names, I was like, oh my God, I would have freaked out. But you just started to put your best effort in and just show up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So imagine if you didn't show up just out of fear and you're like, I'm not going to get it anyway, but here you are. And it's been how many years now? I see it all the time.
So that meeting and those conversations were probably 11 years ago, because the collective has been in stores for 10 years. And the takeaway that I'll say, because I was very scared, I was actually scared to even ask the question, like, may I ask who else you're interviewing?
Yeah.
That felt like a little forward. You know what I mean? A lot of times we're not comfortable asking those questions, but always ask the question is my takeaway. Because if I hadn't have asked that question and I didn't know who else I was up against, I wouldn't have channeled like every possible positive power in my brain to put together a presentation of why I'm their girl. And it all worked, I think, because I poured my heart into it and I was showing them like visually my passion, which isn't always easy to do, but I do hear that a lot from people. You know, feel your passion, or I see your passion in your posts, or some sort of comment about passion a lot. And I think we should all be making sure we're doing that, because we only have one life and you want to make sure you're living one that makes you happy and, you know, feels good and has a lasting impression. I always think to myself, and actually, I remember when I was thinking about having kids and I wasn't sure like how to possibly fit them in, because again, our industry is days, evenings, weekends. I mean, there's really no days off.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, like at the very end of my life, do I, you know, just want an event planner on my tombstone? You know, we have to really think about how short life is. And I love you so much because I know that you have the same feeling about it that I do. And I really said to myself at that moment, there's never going to be a good time to have kids. I'm just going to go for it. And it all works out. And I think that's true for business. You know, if you have an idea, but you don't know how you'll fit it in, if it's something that you really want at the end of the road, the end of your life, on your tombstone, to say you tried and you did, I think you should go for it. And it will work itself out. You'll reprioritize other things. Don't you think? That's what we all have to do.
100%. And that's, I think, one of the things that drew me so closely to, I feel like we have so many things in common.
We do.
Even back to when you said your story, I was like, wait a minute. I think we've had this conversation before when I shared about my mom and how I got into all of this as a kid. I used to just follow her around and do whatever. I was the pin holder when she was doing fabrics, and like, you know, the cooking, the baking. As you were speaking, I was like, oh my God, that makes sort of sense. So I love you so much, because there's so many things we have in common. But one thing I will share, and I don't know if you remember, we were at breakfast or lunch. It was we had a date somewhere in Lincoln Park, and I was like, Debbie, okay. I was like, how do you do it all? We had this conversation. You're like, just do it. I just do it, and if we figure it out. And then I was thinking about lunch and Kesh Designs Home, right? And I was sharing with you. I was like, I want to get your opinion. Like, what do you think? And you were like, do it. You like leaned into the table and were like, do it. And I was like, thanks. So I just went ahead and like, because I felt like, am I doing too much, or am I, do I want to be an event planner? Only kind of what you said. I was like, I don't. I want to do whatever I want. I want to do whatever is exciting and what I'm passionate about. And I've kind of taken that with me. Like, I just remember, do it. Do it. I'm like, but you encouraged me so much, you probably don't remember. And you're like, just do it. And I was sitting, I was like, I'm talking to someone that literally we do the same things. Like you do, you're going to do event planning, and then you have your products. And I'm like, I'm thinking about creating my own products. And like, what are you waiting for? Just do it. So I love the advice, and I love that story. Sometimes we're in our heads too much, but I love that sometimes knowing who you're up against is not a bad thing. It actually would put some fire on that booty to, put your all into it. And I
Yeah.
think that sometimes we're too afraid also to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
But you should, and I love that. That was one of my biggest takeaways too from that part of that conversation. See,
Yeah.
amazing, love you. Okay, so you have other things I still want to talk about. So you have the magazine.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Although I will be honest, in COVID, it's taking a bit of a back seat.
Yeah.
But we, again, love sharing ideas. And in whatever capacity or way we can share ideas, we love to do so. So the magazine, there's nothing more beautiful to me than a magazine. I am such a magazine girl. I probably, I'll confess, subscribe to about 30 magazines a month, like every decorating magazine, every cooking magazine. And still, they make me so happy when they're in my mailbox.
Yeah.
And I feel like in COVID, more than ever, these magazines and these photos and these ideas, they're like giving me life. So to me, they're more important than ever.
Yeah, agree. I think if you find the right magazine that inspires you, then it's your happy time where you're just in another zone. It takes you to your happy place, just flipping to a really good magazine. But 30, I don't subscribe to 30, maybe 5. So I need to up my magazine game. But
No, probably should. We shouldn't be consuming that much paper, probably. But you know what I'll say to this point is really, truly, if you think of COVID and you think of what's the thing that's brought you so much joy over and over and over this year, something so simple has brought me so much joy. And it's the Architectural Digest daily newsletter, which is free. Everyone done watching Kesh's amazing podcast, you should subscribe, because it is like a newsletter of the most beautiful houses in the world, filled with the most beautiful flowers in the world. And I'm not kidding. Like when I'm just a little bit down and COVID tired, I'll pull up one of these emails. They're all starred in my inbox and like in a decor folder. You are whisked away instantly to, a gorgeous island at Tommy Hilfiger's house in Jamaica, for example. And you feel good after you read and look at all these pictures.
Yeah, because I love that. I love that a lot, and I'm actually going to sign up. I didn't realize it was every day. But when we talk about where we find our inspiration, I was going to ask that before we can. Well, I'll ask that now so I don't forget, and then I want to talk about your new, beautiful another business you've launched, Yale Cottage. But in terms of inspiration, you just shared like so magazines. My next question was going to be, where do you find your inspiration, or how do you stay inspired, especially during COVID? Like that is like, most people's spirits down. We're just trying to stay afloat right now. But what inspires you now, and what has always inspired you?
So I will say I definitely am really binge watching a lot of shows that are about creating something. Food Network. I just finished last night with my husband the new Giada and Bobby Flay in Italy. That is the most beautiful show. Everyone should watch it. It just launched.
Right.
It's on Discovery Plus. And again, you feel like you're taking a trip. Stanley Tucci has a new show in Italy. That was so beautiful because it's about traveling, which fills you with new, happiness and joy, seeing a new place, but it's also about the culture of that place. So I love the history. I love seeing all the traditions. Italy as a country, much like other countries in Europe and abroad, they are all about keeping the old artisan ways alive, which I find really exciting and fun to watch. So a lot of television about learning and creating. I was just saying to someone yesterday, watching Ina Garten is like yoga. Other people have yoga. I have watching Ina Garten feels like meditating to me. So things like that have really been helpful because again, we're all having sad, lonely days. And as a business person, we've sort of lost our business. Yes, we're doing little events and yes, we're helping clients reschedule, but it's not the same. And if your business
Yeah.
a lot of joy and all of a sudden that's all on hold, you're really losing a lot of your daily joy. So I'm finding it in those sorts of places. And then, the real blessing for me has been all of this time with my kids who are teenagers and they're so busy. And normally they're out of the house almost 12 hours a day because of school. They leave at 7 p.m., they have sports till 7 p.m. And all of that time together has just been like golden that I am so grateful to have had with them. Is it, the happiest of our days? No, because we're all in COVID, but we're together and we're not usually together that much. And I've really loved that.
So I know you spend a lot of like every year, every summer you spend your summers in Paris. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? How is that? And I know you have. Well, I'll let you tell it. But like, how does Paris play into your inspiration, or when did you fall in love with Paris? Because you're there every year, multiple times a year, I think.
So I first went there in college. I studied abroad in London and we went to Paris for an amazing trip. And literally they had to drag me out of Paris because I was really like, these are my people, this is my place. I just felt so connected to Paris. And I started going first we started going in the summer when I first had kids. I had a good friend who was like, you have to start home swapping with kids because what's nice when you have little kids, all you parents out there with young kids, if you sign up for like home away, home exchange, remember that movie, The Holiday, that great movie?
My favorite movie ever.
That movie, mine too. See, we're twins. That movie came out right when we signed up for home exchange. And it sort of shows you the beauty of swapping your house, right? And so we started swapping our house with families in Paris. And the beautiful thing about France is they don't go on vacation for a week, they go on vacation for the entire month of August. That's what they do. So we started swapping. And what's great about when you have little kids is you move into someone's home that has every single thing you need, all the gear, the strollers, the bikes, the scooters, the babysitters. Can you imagine? We had a babysitter every month in the summer in Paris, and not just a babysitter, like some rando babysitter. It's the one who works in this house and has forever and ever. So you can feel really good about leaving kids in a foreign country with a stranger. So anyway, that's how it started. And I found that when I would go, it was like being a sponge and seeing everything new. Paris, they created haute cuisine, fine dining. They created haute couture, high fashion. And so when you walk around Paris, if you just had, one day, you would walk out of that day with more inspiration and ideas than you could ever find anywhere else, in my opinion. And I became really excited about all the new ideas from food to colors to flowers, etc. And when I would come home, all of our clients would say, we don't want to talk about anything until you've put together all the trends from Paris for us. So then this pretty big part of my business where our clients, let's say you're doing corporate events or, social events for the same clients over and over, which we all do. They didn't even want to talk about the next event until I got back from Paris because they wanted to hear what are the new drinks, what are the new foods, what are the new flowers. And I realized that this really does kind of not only feed my soul, but it really feeds my business. And that's where that all came from.
Yeah, I just love just watching you, like, and you take the most amazing pictures. I try, never, trust me, you have the most amazing photos, but then I love that you take everyone on that journey with you and you bring back so much. I love that you also throw a party when you get back with all the new cuisine and the drinks. And I'm like, I'm just so amazed, but I wanted to hear from you basically how, Paris, I know it has a huge influence on you, and it's you get inspired from all these trends, and you're right, fashion, everything, Paris, right? So that was on my list of trips to take, but I just kind of live through you when I can't travel. I'm like, how amazing is this? But I really love that, and I think it's important to share as a creative, not to get too comfortable and to continue to learn new trends and to learn what's out there and bring it back to your business, get inspiration over and over. Otherwise we get really just kind of flat, and like we need new inspiration all the time. And what you said too is important, that your clients wanted something fresh, right? So it's not the same thing over and over again. That's
Yep. Yep. And, for the last year, obviously we can't go to Paris. We landed from a trip last February. Who would have known that we wouldn't be allowed in the country still a year later? But I will say, like, I'm wearing a brand new collection that just launched with Uniqlo and the Louvre. If you guys haven't seen it, this has been something too that I have found really inspiring, is following designers, watching every collection launch. They're not having traditional fashion weeks, which I love watching for color, trends, but now I'm just sort of following all these capsule collections and what was their inspiration. And this new collection, which I think is so cool, is because the Louvre, which we all know the Louvre, they want to bring very sort of beautiful, old, historic art that normally in the history of French art, no one would see that art unless you were, elite, royal, high society. That's how art was created. It was created for private collections only. The Louvre wants to spin that on its head and make this art, like the world's most famous art, in the halls of their museum on t-shirts and sweatshirts with Uniqlo. And I think that's really cool. Yeah. And I ordered a whole bunch of pieces. I had it on my calendar, like the date it launched that you could see online, and then the next date that you could order it online. And it just arrived, I think maybe yesterday. And you can see I've already like cut out the neck, cut off the sleeves, done all my little scissoring edits to it to make it nice and cozy. But isn't it so cute?
absolutely beautiful.
And this is how I'm bringing into my day to day. Make sure you can see it all.
Beautiful.
Uniqlo, and it's very soft. But I think that when you can't be in your favorite place, figure out how to bring it into your life wherever you are, because there's a lot of people who can't go where they want to go, but let's do something today that reminds you of that place, and that will bring you joy. I've been buying my favorite French yogurt and making my favorite French breakfast here, and that's bringing me joy. Or listening to Hotel Cost, that amazing playlist on Spotify, that's bringing me joy. And you can at least get your mind in the place, even if you can't really be there.
Yeah, you're right. That's great advice. Sometimes it's the little things, and I believe in little pockets of joy. No one is ever happy 100%.
Like
little moments, little treats for yourself. Like you said, I'm sure that little bite or taste of yogurt just takes you to a happy place, because it brings great memories and takes you somewhere amazing. So I want to talk about your new venture, DL Cottage. Tell us about it. It's so, like, I can't wait till we can do all of these things. I'm just going to follow you everywhere, because I need to go back to the loft and I have to see this beautiful, amazing space you just built. So tell us about it.
So another really happy place for my family is Nantucket, which is an island out on Cape Cod. And my mom in high school read Moby Dick, and she was immediately obsessed with Nantucket. So my grandparents and my parents and myself started going to Nantucket. I went out there when I was a teenager, spent summers out there working when I was in college. And once you have a summer on Nantucket, you're ruined for life because it is the most surfy, hydrangeas. There are hydrangea trees,
No.
okay, that are 2.5 stories high. They're taller than houses. That's how magical Nantucket is. Roses covering the roofs. It is so beautiful. And long story short, it was COVID last year, and we realized that our teenager who was going off to college and our other teenager who would be following in her footsteps in a few years, like we didn't have a lot of summers left together, which kind of, broke my heart. And we thought, what can we do? We can, because we have this time in COVID, look at finding a little cute family place that we could then all spend our summers. We'd been staying in my family's house for years, and you grow and people get bigger and it isn't working. Everyone's sharing that house. So let's get our own little house. And then we thought, Nantucket is so beautiful, but very few people, at least in the Midwest, know where Nantucket is. They don't know how gorgeous it is. And we're in a time now where we can't go to somewhere beautiful like France or the Chelsea Flower Show in London. So let's create a place where we can bring people to Nantucket and do really fun experiences, touring all these private gardens, doing floral design workshops, doing amazing entertaining and cooking workshops, because Nantucket kind of is this perfect place similar to Paris, where it is all about history. It's all about artisans. It's just the most beautiful little teeny tiny place. So we found this little house. It's so cute. And it has a guest cottage, which of course we've turned into a champagne cottage.
Oh
And
my
it has
God.
a huge garden, and it was right in town, which meant you could take the ferry over and just walk. You don't need a car. We wanted to make it really accessible. You know me, I like being inclusive and making it easy for everyone. So just like the loft and just like the studio, we did a big gut rehab. The building was built in 1900, which was new because the studio loft building is from 1800.
Oh,
And
wow.
we just turned it into what I think is the coziest, chicest, all white. It looks very much like the loft and studio, and anybody can rent it and go out and stay and enjoy Nantucket. We've had renters this winter who are escaping, and then we'll be doing workshops on flowers and cooking and all sorts of fun tours and experiences all summer starting in June.
Oh my goodness. You're so amazing. Again, like I said, I'm like, how do you do it? Like, how do you do it all and do it so well? But you have the best ideas. And I love when we talked about inspiration and how you can bring us, for someone that can't travel to Paris, you can kind of get that same vibe and feel right in these beautiful spaces that you have created. Even the DL Loft is absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to see the cottage and stay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's a beautiful place that you've known and go every year and spend. You have all these beautiful memories, so it's on my list for sure.
Hey.
So what's next? What's next for Debbie?
Well, we're really kind of gearing up for our first summer of DL Cottage. The kids are bringing friends, and what I love is we've created a place where they can have my favorite summer memories of my whole life forever. And hopefully their kids can have those memories as well. I'm really excited about sort of taking something that is such a special moment in my life and making it happen for future generations and our family. And then also my grandparents loved Nantucket. They were artists and they had these incredible, wood carvings that they'd paint of Santas and fishermen and whirligigs and all of these things. And they sold them in a gallery on Nantucket. So being on Nantucket really connects me to my grandparents and my family. And I love that we're creating something new, again, kind of off of that feeling. I feel like we have to take our happy, joyful desires and figure out how to build more around them.
Beautiful. This is why I wanted to bring you on the show, just to share just to share your story and like your thought process and like how you think. And I think you've just given such great advice, right? To just, I mean, yes to all of it, but you're amazing. I mean, you have an amazing empire, the legacy you're building beyond. I'm just so thrilled, and I'm just so, I have to pinch her. I'm like, I know her. She's my friend. Like, look, I know her for real. I have her number. But yeah, you're just such a powerhouse, and I love that you just go for it and put your best into it, and you take you what you do really well is take us on this your journey. I love that. I remember when you were starting to build, and you share pictures, you share videos, you share experiences with the kids. And I just feel like you have such a great balance to everything. But how do you balance work, life, mom, all of it?
I feel like the key is maybe that there really isn't balance. And someone told me once that I should think of it like a teeter totter.
Mm.
And you're never going to be even or balanced. But one day will be more work, and that's okay. And the next day could be more kids and family, and that's okay. And that really helped me, just that simple visual
Yeah.
really me like exhale and be like, I don't have to be so worried about balance. I can balance it out eventually. And that's why I've always brought my kids with me whenever I can. They've helped like wash vases and fill votive candles and put things in boxes, load a truck, unload a truck. I grew up helping my grandparents. My grandpa was a vet, so I would go with him all day long on all of his calls to all the farms. I grew up working next to an adult. And when I started my business, before I ever had kids, I don't know if you remember this beautiful bakery called Take the Cake, run by Mary Winslow. And Mary
Yeah.
made not only the most beautiful cakes in Chicago, but she brought with her every delivery, every weekend when I was doing a wedding. Here came Mary and her child who was helping her. Maybe the child was just along for, the journey. Maybe the child was like in charge of making sure the cloth was centered on the table. But I remember saying to her, Mary, like, I love that you bring your children with you to help you. And so I realized very early on, before I even had kids, you can involve your kids in your business, and it's good for you because you're with them, they're at your side, that's all you want, but it's also good for them because they're with you. It fills them with pride, you're giving them a job, all those things that help a child be more confident, more independent, etc. So that's what I would wish for everyone, is figure out a way that you can include your kids in what you're doing. We always used to joke that the kids did their homework and I sat right next to them at the kitchen table doing my homework. It was proposals, it was spreadsheets, it was design plans, but we sat side by side and did those things together. And we can all figure that out, and that will help create balance.
Yeah, amazing. Oh my goodness. Okay. I was just gonna say like any piece of advice, but I think you just kind of nailed it. It was like, wait, do that. But what would you say to someone that has an amazing idea or has some sort of gift, but is terrified to just start or to scale or to launch something else? What one advice or multiple, what piece of advice would you give them?
I would say, because I have so many fears, I think we all do, we're human, to
Mm.
really identify like what is the fear and how to overcome it. And or just like your example, I've always leaned on others for advice. And when I feel like I'm stuck, who can you reach out to and bounce ideas off of to help you work through that? Because there's always a way through it if you think outside the box and think creatively. It's so important that we have our support, whether it be your friends, your family, your industry, your neighbor. Make sure you have support on how you can work through it. And maybe it's talking to a banker, maybe it's talking to someone who's an expert in social media, whatever it is. But like you did that one day, and I'm sure you do this a lot, you asked, you reached out to me. Yes, we're competitors, but look at what a beautiful friendship and partnership and relationship came from you asking or you coming to an event. And I think that really is like a wonderful moment too. So many event planners don't come to our events because they think, oh, she's an event planner, I can't go to that. But I love meeting new people. I don't care what you do. It's so fun just to talk and see each other. So, really find support in whomever it is, a professional, a friend. You've got to have so much support, emotional support, intellectual support, etc.
Yeah, that's great advice. Thank you for sharing that. And I agree 100%. And I think that when we're more open and we learn more, and you never know what you would get. You never know what friendships you would develop. Like if I were more like, oh, I don't know, but Debbie also is a planner, we won't have this relationship for all these years. So I'm so grateful for keep throwing those parties because I will keep showing up. I miss the brunch parties you throw, like your Sunday afternoon.
No,
And
me too.
yeah, but soon, hopefully soon, we can start to do these things that bring us joy. Just being people that inspire you is important. And I always try to get out of I'm a natural introvert, but I try to force myself into places that make me uncomfortable. And then I get comfortable and I'm like, oh, that's so bad, or I say hello to a total stranger and having a conversation. But I watch you and I'm like taking little notes. I'm like, okay, but you do it all with such grace and such kindness. And I'm just so grateful for you and happy to, again, share you and all these amazing gems that you're sharing with everyone listening. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, before I let you go, we usually wrap up the show with a few questions. So what is your definition of success?
I would say being happy and feeling like you did everything. Like I've often thought, let's say tomorrow's our last day, which could happen. Do I feel like I've given everything that I want to give? And I'll be honest, I really do. I really do. And I think that we all should feel that way. If there's something that you could do more of that would make you happier, make sure you figure out a way to do that so you have that feeling, because that's a very important feeling for a peaceful, happy life, in my opinion.
Yeah, love that. Okay. And then if you could have lunch with anyone at all, who would it be?
You can probably guess.
Tell me. I have some idea. What's that?
My Gigi, sweet Gigi, my grandmother, who we just lost last year, who was literally, I'll try not to cry, just the total sunshine in my life. And I know you probably feel the same way.
I do. Okay, we're gonna end up crying together. So thank you for sharing that. There was and I know how much love. It's so evident, like it's just there. And I know that feeling when you lose, like you just want like one more lunch or one more hug. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna wrap up because now we're like in tears.
But they gave us so much happiness, and I'm really staying in that place of she brought me so much joy. And now I want to share the kind of joy she shared with me, with my family and other people. So that's what we'll both remember.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I just love you so much and thank you for sharing that and being so open. I know these are, oh, it's not easy, but yeah, but I feel you like 100%. And thank you so much for sharing that. Okay.
Love you. Love you.
I love this. How can listeners find you?
Oh, well, thank you so much for asking. You can go to debbielilly.com or aperfectevent.com. They all live together. and we would love to talk and see. And if there's anybody out there that we can help in any way, brainstorm, think through an issue you're up against, I love doing that. And I might not have ever talked to you before, but I would really love to talk and help in whatever way we can.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I love you so much. Thank you again. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being an inspiration to, I'm sharing my inspiration, but I'm sure there are a ton of people out there that you inspire and you encourage to just go for it. Just watching you just do you makes me, confirms that I'm not crazy, right? Sometimes it's just confirmation that you're not nuts to keep lunging and doing all these things, and you're just so fearless and amazing and a true inspiration. So, but I'm so grateful for you as a person, as all of it, and for being here and sharing your amazing story. So, thank you for that. And I can't
Thank you.
see you soon. I hope
Soon.
soon. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. And I'm super excited for everyone to see this episode.
Thank you, Cash. See you soon.